There are some things in life you're just not going to get invited to. Put quite frankly, you're just not cool enough to get invited to those things. And I think as you get older, the feeling from not getting invited switches from resentment to ambition to figure out how one day you can become invited to become cool enough to go to the party. And I think that's really just the objective point of life. I mean, the older you get, the more you realize you can't just keep complaining about the fact that you didn't get invited, because whoever was organizing the party is going to do the party regardless of what you think. They don't care how much you want to protest their party. They will have the party, and you're either in or you're either out. And I think the journey of life is figuring out, how can I get in and be a part of that discussion versus always feel like I'm never meant to be part of that discussion. The annual Bilderberg meeting is one of the most secret meetings in the world. It started in 1954, and it's an annual forum to discuss informally discuss topics all across Europe and North America. And the core premise of it is, let's get the most unique people in the world in one place, not just celebrities, not just people who have followers, but people who have power, which is why I think of it as like the Met Gala, where all these celebrities go for this like ball and party, but for power. And in this power party, you've got some of the most richest and some of the most important people in the world having discussions and ideas and exchanging dialogue around things that actually matter, that will impact the next trajectory of where human existence goes. Palantir's Alex Karp and Peter Thiel were invited to this meeting this year, as they were last year. Here is Peter Thiel on the guest list, and here is Alex Karp. Now again, what is Bilderberg? Since its inaugural meeting in 1954, the annual Bilderberg meeting has been a forum for informal discussions to foster dialogue between Europe and North America. The meeting is a forum for informal discussions about major issues. The meetings are held under the Chatham House rule, which states that participants are free to use the information received, but neither the identity nor the affiliation of the speakers nor of any other participant may be revealed, which is why it's an incredibly private meeting. There's no press. Thanks to the private nature of the meeting, the participants take part as individuals rather than in any official capacity, and hence are not bound by the conventions of their office or pre-agreed positions, which actually allows them to like talk more freely for what they want to talk about. Now, this is going to be in Portugal. It's the 69th Bilderberg meeting from May 18th to May 21st. And here are the key topics for discussion. AI, of course, banking, China, energy transition, Europe, fiscal challenges, India, industrial policy and trade, NATO, Russia, transnational threats, Ukraine, and U.S. leadership. Now, you've got some heavy hitters that are also joining this meeting. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is going to be here. He's been everywhere because he's created one of the most unique products on the planet. And he's going to be joined with Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt will be there. The head of DeepMind, Google's AI division, Denis Hassabis will be there. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger will be there. The NATO Secretary General will be there. The Ukrainian Foreign Minister will be there. There's going to be a lot of people at this meeting. So what are the implications that it has for Palantir? Well, first off, our boys are in the club. Like our boys are in the club. And I'm just saying, if you're investing in a company, it would be nice to know that your boys are in the club, right? I don't see Zuckerberg here. I don't see Andy Jassy. I'm not saying you got to be in this club or you have to attend this forum for anything unique to happen about your company. But with a company like Palantir that is creating technology that is at the forefront of a lot of unique issues, i.e. Russia, Ukraine, a lot of things on mission critical situations on battlefields, a lot of different companies that use their software to actually be able to transform their businesses. You want them and their leadership to be in a place where they can attend these meetings and actually get things done. I mean, I think the pure reason Karp and Thiel are attending is to talk to other people, to advance the interests of Palantir. There are very highly important political people here, people who can make decisions, people who can influence other people to make decisions about certain things that those people would purchase, i.e. software. And you want to be part of the club. I mean, the older you get, the more you realize, hey, I want to be part of it. And when you got a company like Palantir that has so many ties in so many different areas, if the CEO wasn't getting invited, right, when your software is being used in Ukraine and you're the CEO of that software and you're not getting invited to a forum that is built on discussing some of the most pressing issues of our time informally with no press, I would be a little bit more concerned if you weren't getting invited. So the first thing is, I think it's a really good thing that they got invited, and you know, it just showcases the importance and level of power that Alex Karp and Peter Thiel ultimately have to be the people who attend this conference at the end of the day. The other reason I think it's important they're attending is because two of the key issues that are going to be discussed in the list of issues from the press release are AI and Russia and Ukraine. And I think both of these things impact Palantir very deeply. Obviously, Russia, Ukraine, their software has been being used there. What that means for the overarching forces around NATO, what that means for potentially China, Taiwan, which I'm sure is going to come up as a discussion. The fact that Palantir just established a technology hub in Lithuania. Lithuania is part of the Baltic states, and part of the reason Lithuania wanted them to adopt that technology is because they are afraid that Russia might come after them. All of those things are incredibly important for Palantir to be able to discuss. And the second thing is AI. I mean, look, Alex Karp on the latest earnings, Palantir's rallied 40% in the past month, and Alex Karp said, we are seeing more demand than we have seen in the past 20 years. When a CEO says that, I take him very seriously. And if he's saying we're having hundreds of conversations with potential customers about how to implement this into their business, that means the moment is now for them to act and deliver on something that is going to change the world. You've got Sam Altman there, who's created OpenAI and ChatGPT. You've got Microsoft, Satya Nadella, and these guys are going to try to bring AI to the enterprise. Well, what is Palantir trying to do? Bring AI to the enterprise. That's where the real money is. That's where the real impact is. And that's where the influence on decision-making also happens. You know, we've essentially created ChatGPT for the business. And I'm sure Microsoft and Snowflake's in talks to buy a search engine called Neva soon. And so, like, there's so many different companies that are going to have their different version of what AI-enabled infrastructure could be for commercial enterprises. For Palantir to actually be able to win that market, as Alex Karp said, our strategy is to just take the market. Then I think you've got to be in some of these meetings with these influential heads of companies and heads of state and discuss things that are important, especially because they've developed AIP for the military and for defense. And there's a lot of people here that work in military and defense that are going to be at this conference. So, I mean, the issues of our time, the things in the zeitgeist that are worth talking about, that are worth discussing, that show a level of importance to the overall national and international conversation, I think Karp and Thiel play a very intimate role within. And I think Palantir plays a very intimate role. And it would be not good, in my opinion, if Palantir did not get invited to these conversations, because it means their companies are not that important. I mean, is the C3 AI CEO coming to this meeting? And again, you don't have to come to the meeting for it to mean much. I'm stretching it a little bit. But the reason it's also important is because if you are in the club, then you're in the club. You were invited by the powers that be that believe that you play an important role in this discussion. And I want to bet on the people that play an important role when we're talking about investing in a company that has geopolitical tensions, that has, the ability to flip a business overnight if some country were to get invaded, i.e. Taiwan, where every company in the world would need that type of software. I mean, those are the things that I'm thinking about from a macro perspective as we go into the future of Palantir. So it's a secret meeting. They got invited. We won't have any press from the meeting, but we do know that there's a lot of important people going, and those important people hopefully will be discussing many topics, and Palantir will be included in a lot of those topics. Palantir's Alex Karp and Peter Thiel invited to the annual Bilderberg meeting. Let's see what comes out of this. Please subscribe to dailypalantir.com/subscribe. Free email newsletter every single day on Palantir. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I'll see you in the next one. 3, 2, 1. There are some things in life that you don't get access to unless you're invited to. Put more frankly, if you're not cool enough to get in, you don't get in. And the older you get, the more your feeling changes from resentment for not being cool enough to get in to ambition, to realizing how can I become one of the people that get in.